the power was built, let's say into NTPC, some location, let's say into Kahalgaon, into Bihar, then it moved to where power demand is there, let's say to Patna or to Jharkhand, where they have done a tie-up with for supplying this. And there, Jharkhand distribution companies will take care of distributing it to nearby area. But it will no more be the baby of NTPC. The moment the power moves from NTPC power plant to through wires to let's say Bokaro, from let's say NTPC Kahalgaon to Bokaro, there has to be a direct line connection, and that is transmission line for you. I'm sure you would have seen these lines in when you go out of your towns, then you will see that. So, but why we are focusing on transmission? And there's a very simple maths. Effectively, our power is currently, even though the capacity mix is 55 to 45 thermal to renewable, but actually it is de facto 70, more than 75% thermal to 25-30 odd percent of non-thermal because of the PLF angle. So when government is planning ahead, because GDP growth and power demand growth are linearly correlated, and we are on a growing GDP, so planners has to see that how much of it would come from thermal and how much would come from renewable. Government have given a very glorious renewable energy set out, that 500 gigawatt, which is huge because currently the overall supply is of 500 gigawatt. So whatever we have done so far put together as a country, another 500 of fresh renewable energy has to come. So it's like we're going to double our capacity in next 5 years by 2030 or 32. So for that, a transmission capex is not linear. Like for doubling, generally, if you are going from 1x to 2x, you need 3x of transmission, actually 4x. You need 3x growth into transmission because we are installing 500 gigawatts. So we have to invest 3 times more because they have low PLF. And in order to match to the demand, we need to invest into the 3x of the transmission capacity, because 100 megawatt of solar is not equivalent to 100 megawatt of thermal. So actually you need 3 into 100 megawatt of solar to for 100 megawatt of thermal to replace it. So 3x capacity is also needed. So 3x capacity into transmission is needed. So that's why this transmission become the central piece of the puzzle called power sector, because everywhere else the growth are linear, even though these are high growth, but the transmission will be 3x of that. That is at the base planning level, although execution will take its own course. So it may not grow at 3x, but it has to grow at 2x at least to survive, to catch up with the generation. And I would like to highlight one thing. There are huge money involved into it, because solar and wind, this sector has grown not because some new thermal entity and new power company like NTPC was created. No, we stopped creating NTPCs long back. We do, as a government, don't have that much of financial muscle to set out companies to do renewable energy. So what they did, they opened it up for private investors, private equities like Actis of the world, who have based into USA or UK. So UK, European and USA based investor flocked in Bombay and Delhi and created independent power producers, IPP. So they were basically, private equity has provided 25% equity and 75% of debt was borrowed from PFC, REC, IRIDA and SBI and L&T Infra. These 4-5 guys were the main lenders during 2015 to 2025 yet. These 4-5 lenders have supported, and even though supported by Bank of Baroda also and Bank of India and other the big PSUs were also quite instrumental. So with that mix, if you are setting up a project, so you have a Bank of Baroda loan of 75 crore and 25 crore of equity, which has come from, let's say, Singapore. So the Singapore investor will look at the financial model, and in the model, the sensitivity of time is very high. You might have heard of the concept called time value of money. So this time value of money, if you really want to experience, you have to put the numbers into Excel and just delay the project cash flow by 1 year or 6 months. And your IRR, which are internal rate of return, they go berserk. They, from 15%, it will drastically come down to 13% by a 1 year delay, because lots of money has been put in upfront. And if you are delaying it by even a 6 months, so your model will go for a toss. You assume that you have lost money. Investor mentally will write it off. I mean, they are expecting 14%, but they realize 12% if there is a 6-month delay. These investors are very sensitive to the timely execution of the project. So what happened? These investors, they said that I will hire a CEO, CFO, everybody in Delhi, Bombay, and he will take care of execution. But generation ke liye, they might procure everything from, let's say, Sujlon or from Wari. They bought the panel. Everything is done on time. But what happens if government could not play their bit of supplying the power from your place to a demand center? Then even though you install the wind turbine and for 6 months you didn't get the transmission line ready, then you lost money in IRR terms. Your IRR reduces to 12% from 14%. So you will not come again. Government knows that. So that's why transmission pay, there is lots of focus that first let's sort out the transmission, because transmission is a kind of a central government purview. So they are taking care of transmission on a special mention. And generation is largely driven by non-government entities like IPP, as I said, Tata Power and JSW Energies of the world, Adani's of the world. So even though if you bring in like Tata Power and Adani's and JSW's of the world, which are three biggest conglomerate present, so their IRR goes through the same calculation. So they will also put pressure on government that, sir, we have built up, we are ready to generate, but nobody is there to take this power off from my shoulder. So so that's why they can push this transmission. They are pushing this transmission at the mainstream thing, and for financing, for support and everything. So the government will not withdraw from transmission because of the reason, financial reason I mentioned, and all the powerful conglomerates, money is involved, private money is involved. So government will not touch it in a bad way. So that's the safety in transmission, and that's why I thought that anybody who is doing well into transmission, he will get his payment on time, and if he receives cash flow, then as an investor I will receive the stock appreciation. So that's why we chose transmission over generation and distribution.
Content of this video is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered financial, investment, or trading advice. The information presented is not a recommendation or endorsement of any particular investment strategy, security, or financial decision. Investing involves risks, and viewers should conduct their own research. The creator of this video is not responsible for any financial losses incurred based on the information provided.